Welcome back to another episode of the Dunwoody Dialogues. We love that you are here because here we love to talk to great and important people. I'm your host, Mark Galvin, and this show is produced by Discover Dunwoody. So, what about all those people that we talk to? What about how can you reach them? Well, if you look down in the feed, you'll see all those great folks that we've talked to in the past, including the mayor of Dunwoody. We have talked to Billy Kramer, who is the founder and owner of NFA Burger, who, by the way, also will serve as a tour guide for our Rediscover Dunwoody tours. But I'm getting way off topic here. Let's get back to today. I am so happy to let all of you know that we have a very important person in the house. Today's guest is a giant in the meeting professionals business, in the meeting professionals world. He's traveled the world. He grew up overseas. And if you have ever attended any of the meeting professionals associations, and there's many of them out there, I will guarantee you saw him sitting on the dais as one of a panel members. In fact, I think he's heading over this week, going to Nashville or somewhere, and he'll serve on a panel there as well. Today, we have none other than Phelps Hope in the house here at the worldwide headquarters of Discover Dunwoody. Welcome, man.
Mark, what an intro. I need a publicist. Do you mind?
I don't mind. How much do you pay?
Not that much. I'm an event planner. But thank you for having me. This is great.
Absolutely. Phelps is an old friend of Discover Dunwoody. A past friend is better, not an old friend.
Not old.
Yes.
A current friend.
That's right. And always happy that you're here. You have been in the Atlanta area for a long time, done a lot of things, and I'm going to highlight some of these. I'm going to tell you guys, the bio that I got from Phelps was huge, but let's start with this. Your current role is you're the executive consultant with Phelps Richards Group.
Correct.
Tell me what you're doing there.
Well, as a consultant, I'm a strategic event consultant. So you wouldn't necessarily hire me to run your event. I work with the clients and their stakeholders as to understanding how the event fits into their portfolio.
Okay, good.
Whether it's a corporate, an association, or a community event. Why does this exist, and what is the 5-year plan? With the changing environment of technology and generational influences and the economic changes we all are suffering under, how do they impact the event? Well, looking forward, how are they going to impact the event 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years from now? You hire me to help you iron out what that 5 to 10 year plan is so that you're prepared to keep that event relevant and growing along with the influences that really affects how that event comes out.
So I love that you're doing this, and you bring all of your experience to the table to leverage the knowledge to make sure that these programs run better. For example, you've been in the business for 4 decades. You are a CMP. You have worked as a leader of all the major business associations, including Southeast chapter of the International Association of Exhibits and Events. So by the way, folks, if you're not in our industry, we use a lot of acronyms. That was a lot of words. That's why we call them the IAEE. You've also, you're a member of the Georgia chapter of Meeting Professionals International, which is MPI Georgia. You are 2-time president of the Professional Convention Managers Association. Here's another acronym, folks, PCMA. You've been the 2-time president of SCAL International, and you've also served on a bunch of boards, including the national board of PCMA. So there's local PCMA that's here based in Georgia, focused on the folks in Georgia. You've worked on the national level. You've also been on the board of the National Committee for the USA of SCAL International. We'll talk about what SCAL means. And then Global Meetings Executive. This is an award. I love this. Global Meetings Executive of the Year for PCMA, as well as the Event Designer of the Year for PCMA. All of this wraps up into someone who's got a ton of experience because you've run your own organization. You have run major association management firms. So all this leads to this. I hire you as a consultant.
Yes.
You're going to help make my programs run better and have a better mission. I'm just guessing.
That's right. That's exactly right. You know, event planning is logistics management at its most simple. We've all planned some level event, a birthday party, a kid's outing. You may even plan a wedding, planned your own wedding. It's primarily
plan
logistics.
weddings now?
Oh, no.
Because my
Thank you.
daughter's getting married.
I've done that, and I appreciate it. There's much better wedding planners than me. So, but the challenge with event planning is you're learning on the job. It's not just the pure logistics of it, it's how each part of the logistics relates to the other part.
Right.
So you can make one change in one part of the event without knowing it. You've just adversely affected another area.
It's all interconnected.
It's all interconnected. So a good event planner has a wealth of experience. Having been there and done it, they understand what the ramifications of and the sequence of how things should get pulled together.
Yeah, it's so if I'm in the outside, if I'm not in the meeting space, I don't work in the hospitality industry, I look at an event and I probably think, oh, it's just like throwing a party, like you started with. It's much more complex because a meeting, an average meeting for a major association, how much do they spend on that? Just ballpark. How much do you think they're spending?
Well, it depends on the number of people. But
let's say it's 1,000 people.
Oh, you're a $250,000 to $500,000.
All right, so that much money is being spent. How is that money returning an investment, right? If I'm going to put that out there, I need to know I'm getting a return. Associations return are typically the fees people pay to go to the shows. I'm guessing, is that the major revenue stream for
that's
those
one
shows?
of them, yeah. But, the corporate world typically doesn't look to make money off their events, but they're certainly looking for a return on investment of why are we holding the event and how is it furthering the purpose or the mission of the organization.
Right.
Community events may or may not make money. Some are ticketed events, but a lot of them are not.
Right.
Say a Christmas lights program. And so the sponsorship area is how they would make their money. So the revenue source is not, well, it's very key for most events. It's not always the number one key.
Yeah, so interesting.
What is the point? What is the purpose of the event? And what are we trying to achieve by holding this event? You've got to define that. Otherwise, how do you know that you've been successful?
Yeah, you just don't. Absolutely. This kind of thing I think is very interesting because a business owner would look at an event as its own business, right? Because it kind of is, you've got your revenue coming in the top end or and all those expenses. And yes, some aren't designed to make money, but it is still its own little microcosm of a business because you have all of these folks that are supporting it. It's labor intensive, I'm guessing. Most are, you've got a lot of folks that need to get involved. So on your website, I was perusing it the other day, and you said that there's a blueprint for success. What is your blueprint?
Great question. So for me, a blueprint, let's just say any event has basically the same base needs. You're still dealing with people. You're needing a venue. You're needing to feed them. You're needing to house them possibly. They need tables. They need chairs. They need sound. I need to be able to hear what's going on and see what's going on. So those basics are all known, but how are we putting them together and what's the design? Okay. So to start that process, I first meet with the client to understand what is the outcome? What is it you're trying to achieve? We define that, whether it's KPIs, key performance indicators that need to hit metrics for that type of thing, or whether it's we're trying to activate the attendees to do a certain activity afterwards, or whatever that might be. We put those down as our guiding light, our guiding principles. Everything we design from that point comes off of that guiding principle. So whether it's the lighting design, whether it's the food and beverage, whether it's the marketing and communications, it doesn't matter. So that is where the blueprint comes out. Each event has a unique blueprint. They're the same elements, but the elements are rearranged to accommodate that particular event and what the desired outcomes are for that event.
So this is brilliant. I kind of equate this to, there's a coach of a major football program here in the state of Georgia. You may have heard of him, Kirby Smart. Mm-hmm. And when looking at what you just described, I kind of see it as Kirby Smart decides everything on whether it will help him win a national championship. So, favorite example is, all right, should I buy this coffee cup? Should I buy a dozen of these coffee cups? Well, will it help me win a national championship?
Right.
Keeping those goals in mind are so crucial to the success of a program. And that's what you're saying.
That's right.
It is easy, I would think, for someone to start running a program and just do it, right? Without having key performance indicators in mind, you could run off course and you could get distracted because, oh my gosh, I have a feeling in events there's a lot of distractions.
There is, and we fight rabbit trails because we do chase shiny things and go down the rabbit trail. The other thing, too, is you've got a lot of opinions playing in. And whether it's the lighting director has an opinion on how the lighting should work, or whether the client has an opinion on using blue material, we can make decisions using that key guiding principle. So is this going to impact what we're trying to achieve? And if it's not, great, go with the blue. Doesn't really matter.
Right.
It's a non-effective decision, meaning it doesn't affect the outcome.
Right.
But some things do affect the outcome. If we start 2 hours earlier, that might have an impact on the attendees getting there. So understanding all those, and that's where communication becomes the number one maypole, if you will, or the center pole for any blueprint for an event.
Yeah, so interesting to me. All right, I could sit and go through this stuff all day, but this isn't my lifeblood. I can't help but go down this, talk about rabbit holes. I am sure there are folks, when they talk to you about executing a program, everybody is interested in how post-COVID times will impact getting all these folks together. How do you manage? Well, first of all, I'm thinking, what has changed in the industry due to COVID, and how are you managing those?
Sure. Assuming we're not talking about COVID itself, we're just talking the pandemic period and the changes it created that we're now living under.
Sure.
The number one is technology. We all got a heck of an education on Microsoft Teams, Zoom, Google Meet, whatever other video chat platform was out there. They were already there. They may not have been as sophisticated as they are today because there's a lot more use, but it was a tool that was already there. We just chose to meet in person because we're people. I want to see you. I want to shake hands. I want to be able to have a conversation with you.
Real business is done in person.
That's right. And we were forced to go online. And we were online for such a long period that a behavior was created. So now it's another tool in our belt. Those of us in the live business events arena were worried that we're all going to be online, so live events are not going to be necessary. Or quite the opposite. Everybody was so keen to come back and get in person and just to be able to share experiences. And that's, the meeting that you're designing is one outcome. It's the hallway meetings where the power comes in, where I met you and we talked in the hallway over a cup of coffee. That is invaluable, and that is the number one takeaway from any event, besides the planned takeaways. So,
if I may, I remember when I met Phelps and got to know you, it was on the shuttle bus going to the golf tournament.
That's right.
So absolutely, connections are made that way.
That's right, and that's how we do business. People do business with people, and we build relationships, whether they're a one-time, very small period of time, or they're much deeper, richer, in a long period of time. So technology is being that then entered, and it wasn't that it was replacing live events, but it was another tool in the tool belt that has helped us. Let's say a committee meeting, and it's a 1-hour committee meeting. No longer do you have to get on a plane, fly to a destination, stay in a hotel to have a 1-hour committee meeting. That's how it used to be. Or we would do a conference call. Now, Zoom, we can just fire them up, we're ready to go, and we get as just much done. We have found that the online video platforms, their biggest strength is the exchange of information. So we are talking factual things, but if we're going to get into a heavy discussion, or if we're trying to build a relationship, perhaps it's a sales team to client relationship, or it's we're a new coworker relationship, or whatever it might be, much richer and much longer lasting if is done with in-person experiences.
100%.
Yeah. And so our job as event planners is to facilitate those, to make sure that we're not getting in the way. The event planning doesn't get in the way of you, Mark, meeting Phelps on that golf shuttle, so that I'm not tying up your time, but I'm giving you the free time to have accidental connections. And that's the power.
This is one of the key things about just human nature is that we are supposed to be with each other. And I think that's why the meeting industry just exists, just because we thrive with connections.
Right.
There is one of the things that is always fun is to find commonalities and interesting points that come up when you meet someone. So as you know, I spent almost 30 years in the hotel business. I was in housekeeping. I was a front office manager. I got to see a lot. I worked in San Francisco, Chicago, and Atlanta. And I used to get lots of questions over a bourbon or lunch of, hey, tell me a fun story. about your time in the business. Well, what was one of the scariest things or amazing or even shocking things that happened? I am sure you've seen a few things. What has happened when what do you have shocking, amazing stories that happen to you in the business?
I have plenty of war stories. So let me say this. Every event has a war story at some level. I don't think an event has ever gone off absolutely perfectly the way we planned it. Always something happened.
Right.
Our job as event planners is to make sure that it's either handled so the client doesn't get impacted or maybe doesn't even aware of it. And the bigger one is that the audience doesn't know about it. So if a microphone goes down, if the hot box with all the food falls over, if whatever that might be, our job on site, because and that's where we have a challenge with clients, because clients say, boy, that was so perfect. Why did I hire you? It went so smoothly. We're there as your insurance. So anyway, but from a war story standpoint, one comes to mind. So I for about 10 years, I did a lot of meetings in the Asian arena, specifically China. We had an office in Beijing at the time. And my first event over there. So it was an association meeting, and it was a mix of the Chinese nationals and Western in the pharmaceutical arena to get together with exchanging ideas and so forth, a typical corporate type or association type meeting. And it was the first coffee break. And it was going to be out in the foyer. It was an atrium hotel, and it was going to be around the balcony. And it was really a lovely environment. So I'm up there inspecting it, a few minutes before the meeting was going to break. And I walk over and look at an ash urn. An ash urn is the taller one that you might stub a cigarette out in. And it's
so
like
funny.
a big ashtray sitting on it.
Oh my gosh, you have to say what
an
an ash urn is. It's been a while since we've had
That's
ash urns.
right. Well, anyway, the Asians still do very much like to smoke.
Oh, wow.
And I walk over, and as I'm just cruising and making sure the coffee break is set up, it's full of milk.
What?
Some doodlehead had poured a cup of milk in the ash urn. So, I get a hold of the banquet manager and say, come on over. Get the milk out of here. Come on. I mean, it's not supposed to be anything in there. And, he jabbers at me a little bit, and I don't really understand what he's trying to say. So I was like, just get it gone. Okay, fine. He takes it and put it away. Great. Finish up. There's another one. It's got milk in it. Somebody's been going around pouring milk in the ash urns. What is going on here? Call him over again. There's a third one. I went, okay, wait a minute. Time out. Obviously, I don't know something here. What looked like an accident or something that was off script might actually be part of the script. So I inquire, and sure enough, with an ash urn, when you stub out a cigarette and there's nothing else in there, quite often you get a trail of smoke that continues.
Oh, right.
So sometimes, you could put water in there, and you could throw the cigarette butt in there, and it'll extinguish it. But you get this brown water, and it's not very appetizing around a food and beverage
Disgusting.
function.
Yeah.
So the Chinese had learned if you put milk in there, not only does it extinguish the cigarette right away, but the milk absorbs into the cork on the cigarette butt, and it sinks. So now it's invisible. So now we've got this lovely white surface in the ash urn, which by the end of the coffee break could have been piled up like an old nasty ashtray.
I'll be darned.
Never stop learning.
I'll be darned. That is
I
so
came
cool.
in with my plan, and I was going to get this done based on my experience. You've always got to be aware that you might not know everything, and that you've got to listen to those around you. And that is the key to a successful event planner.
Wow. What a great story. And what a great key learning, as a matter of fact.
It was. And it opened my eyes to learn a heck of a lot more on that exact trip.
Such a good point. I love that. All right, another topic.
Sure.
I'm going to shift gears, and I know you like manual cars anyway, right? So
I do.
We're gonna shift into third. One of the other things that we are focused on in the industry today is inclusivity. It is very much a part of our culture as well as in the meetings industry. How do you see that blending in the business, and how do you make sure that inclusivity is addressed and is effective in a program?
Well, for live events, by nature, we're inclusive on how we plan events. And that's been a base project management framework for live event management.
Sure.
The lighting guy, the sound guy, the caterer, everybody is included in the decisions because they have to be.
Right.
They're all got a small piece of the whole project. So project management as a whole, I think by nature is inclusive. Now, personality can lend something, but you can get that very big personality that's not going to listen to anything and is going to just do it their way by hook or by crook, and you just got to follow them. I can't affect that.
Right.
But what we can do in our blueprint is to make sure that we've structured that the voices are all heard, because we want even the most junior person to be able to feel free to voice up an observation. And if they're shut down, we may miss out on the fact that the Chinese like to put milk in their rasher. And so what has happened in this time is what was natural inclusivity in live event planning has become more conscious and more structured. So it's not like it's new. It's just how we approach it.
It's more purposeful.
That's right. Yep.
We have we have a very young team here at Discover Dunwoody, outside of me and Ray and MJ, and sitting down at a table and asking everybody their feedback, we learn so much more.
That's right.
Because we get different perspectives. And to be honest, our target audience is not white guys that are my age. We are interested in women and that demographic that'll choose restaurants, that'll go shopping.
Right.
We need their feedback. It's so important, and we're so much more effective because of that. Being purposeful about it makes great sense.
That's right. And people just want to be respected. So respect me by giving me a forum to share my opinion or my observation.
Bravo.
And it's not that you get to then take over, and that's one of the reactions that some of the older generations have, but it's set up a structured forum so that opinions that people feel secure and safe and respected, that they get to share their opinion.
I love that. You are rolling along in your new organization. I want to make sure everybody knows how to find you, especially those that can really employ your expertise. So who are the best people that you're targeting for your new role? Who are those folks, kind of that target market?
It's really any owner of an event. So it could be a corporate executive that has a series of events that supports the corporate mission. It could be an association that is running into challenges on their revenue, or they're trying to shift over for the generational, because that's another big one. As we look at the generations and their influences, we have to accommodate those inside events. And that's the harder part of looking down the road, the 5 and 10 years, to see how those generational shifts. Or it could be a community. I'm working with Mid-Georgia City right now on one of their big community events, and it's about exactly that. How do we advance this over the next 5 years? What are we doing today that we can build on and have it continued, so it's not just owned by the city council, who have a heck of a lot of other priorities they have to deal with besides community events.
And they're not event
Or
planners.
it's not left up to the volunteer group to kind of fend for themselves, and they go off track, or it gets a separation away.
Good.
So setting up that organizational structure is a lot of what I do.
Bravo.
But it's the owner of the event. I mean, event planners are not the people I would work with, unless they need another pair of hands or they want to hire me to be a sounding board. But it's typically the executive level that is really looking at how to maximize the events in the mission of the organization.
That's so important. One of those folks is watching. Where can they find out more information on how to reach you and on your organization?
Easy enough. If you want details, you can go into LinkedIn and just search for my name, Phelps Hope. But I do have a website, and in fact, if you just look down in the show notes below us here, it's www.phelps-richardsgroup.com, which is a mouthful.
It is, as a matter of fact, Phelps, Phelps, Hope, Hope.
That's right.
I don't want anybody trying to spell your first name with an F. I bet that never happens.
Just think Michael Phelps. I'm just better looking, and
that's true.
I have less gold medals.
That's a very good point. I'm glad you made that distinction. Well, Phelps, we love you coming in to the worldwide headquarters of Discover Dunwoody to chat with us. You are a guy that we love being connected with. We love trying to help you. So anytime you want to share anything, anytime that you want to harness the power of Discover Dunwoody, we are here to help. So you just let us know. You're welcome back anytime. I will do that.
And Mark, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
I don't often get invited to things, so this is great to be invited.
That is not true, everyone. I'm just telling you. Well,
thank you very much.
You bet, man. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for watching. I am Mark Galvin. This show is produced by Discover Dunwoody. Our producer is Madison Holtz. Our sound technician is Emily Inser Gibson. You may know that we are loving, we are thrilled to hand out our Dunwoody stickers. In fact, in the July 4th parade, we handed out a ton of these. But if you would like one, just a reminder, you can get them at City Hall. You can pick them at the library. You can go to NFA Burger or Arc Coffee House on the opposite side of the city, or just come right here to the office. And something else, if you're a business and you would like some of these to hand out, let us know. We'd be thrilled to give you a couple of stacks that you could give to your patrons. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Please follow us on social media at Discover Dunwoody, or check out our website, discoverdunwoody.com. Phelps, once again, thanks for being here. We appreciate you a lot.
Thank you, Mark. It's been my pleasure.
And to all of you, thank you for watching. And now, go out and discover Dunwoody.